Candidates Bill Pomerleau and Sean Rankin. Bill's on the left, Sean's on the right. How the debate's going to be tonight is going to be a casual debate. We're going to ask a series of questions to each of them, starting with Mr. Pomerleau. He'll have 60 seconds to respond, and then Mr. Rankin will have 60 seconds to respond as well. If necessary, there will be a 30-second rebuttal. And we'll alternate questions for the next 45 minutes and then open it up to the audience for any questions that you guys have. You guys ready? Okay. Mr. Pomerleau, what ideas or initiatives have you proposed and seen passed in your student government career this far? Oh, sorry, my bad. Starting with 90-second opening statements for each of the candidates, and then moving on to questions.
All right, cool. Good evening to this packed house we have here. My name is Bill Pomerleau, and I am the current student body president. Oh, stand up. I'm stand up. Walk around. I'm the current student body president. It is my honor to be here to talk to all 30 of you, but to the television audience who are going to see it tonight. I'm sure those who want to see it will see it online. But yeah, it is my honor to be here to talk to the students, talk to everyone excited to come. I see Dr. Dana's here as well. So, where's everyone else? Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've been president for about 5 months now. I've seen a lot of great things happen since I've been president. We had the Greek grant program, which was a great loan to the Greek community to do campus beautification on College Avenue. We have Zipcar, removal of the ATM fees. Lots of student interest is being procured by my administration. When there's a problem, we see that it's addressed within days or at least as fast as possible. I would not run if it wasn't for the fact that I still think that there are many things that need to be done. There are many promises made this campaign. I'm going to make just one, and that is the following, that I promise to better the life of the average student on this campus, and I've been working to do that since I was elected as vice president last fall. Who am I? I'm a fourth-year history major. I play music every Thursday at Ushuaia, 103 Ultra Lounge, piano and guitar, and if you haven't come out yet, you should. Tonight, that'll be tonight, starting at 10. And like everyone else, I am tired of paying $6 for a chicken finger dinner and wait 15 minutes to find a parking spot. But I'm confident that if we all work together and we collaborate, that we can do some great things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomerleau. Mr. Rankin?
Well, it's great to see everybody. Thank you all for coming. My name is Sean Rankin. I'm a third-year finance, economics, and management major. Recently, a lot of people have asked me, why do you want to be president of the student body? It's a lot of work, a lot of commitment, and there's not a whole lot of compensation. Well, I got to admit that the reasoning behind my motivation stemmed back to my freshman year. You see, the University of Maine was not the first school in which I wanted to attend, but it was a school that best served my needs at the time. You see, my plan was to come to the University of Maine, do in a year and a half, get the majority of my electives taken care of, and let's just say, get the college experience out of the way before transferring out. Well, it wasn't soon into my freshman year that I realized that the University of Maine was the only university in the country in which I really could see myself being happy. And as I wandered around that freshman year, I saw a lot of things around campus in which I thought could be improved. And I wanted to help improve those. And so the first thing I did when I returned the following year was join Student Senate, where I sat on committees that worked to solve parking problems. Ideas such as Zipcar spawned from those committees. I also sat and worked with dining services directly to improve not just the quality, but the quantity of services offered in the union and across the campus. And I also found time to author a bill that was heard in the Maine State Legislation, at which would have lowered tuition costs for the University of Maine students. But at the end of last year, for me, that still was not enough. I still thought there was more that could be done, and I sincerely wanted to see that it was done, which is what has led me here tonight, and which is why I want to be the president of the student body. You see, there are still a lot of issues and concerns pressing the University of Maine students currently, and I want to see that those are taken care of. In my platform, I have outlined feasible solutions to these issues and problems, ranging from dining, parking, rising student costs, and lighting across campus. I look forward to talking about these issues in greater detail tonight, and I thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Now we'll go through the questions that we already had posed. So starting with Mr. Pomelo, what ideas or initiatives have you proposed and seen passed in your student government career thus far?
Wow. See, I joined student government 3 years ago, so to list off a few, since I've been an executive, the Greek grant program was huge. Again, Zipcar, we merged with Pick-a-Prof, which everyone likes to use Rate My Professor, but granted, you get those students that really hate a professor and they go on like he sucks. And then any other group of people, it's like, oh, they're awesome. You don't really get a good sample of opinion about a certain professor. Whereas Pick-a-Prof is, it's more scientifically, the database is more scientific and more cogent. Fiscal responsibility, I've ensured fiscal responsibility. We had financial policies, which is basically it's a bill of rights for all of the students that the student senate, student government will spend your money only in a certain way on certain things and won't spend it frivolously. And I ensured that that policy could not be suspended under any circumstances in a Senate meeting because it came commonplace that, we'll just suspend it and get around the policies. That needed to stop, and I ensured that that happened. The ATM fee is another great example. Everyone was, the $2 ATM fee for the University Credit Union came up. People mentioned it in the student forum and the main campus, and we saw that it got taken away within days.
Thank you, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, you have a 60-second period as well. What ideas or initiatives have you proposed and seen passed in your student government career thus far?
That's great. Because the great thing about student government, the great thing about Senate, is that every Tuesday night, we're really helping students across the campus. And really, there's not one single thing that stands out as the greatest because they're all great. Because every Tuesday night, we're helping a different individual from a different status on campus. And so really, the entire experience of being on Senate has been the most fulfilling and, to me, the most rewarding. Because it's not just one great thing, it's a myriad of a lot of great things that we have done together to really make this university a better place.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rankin. We'll move on to the next question. Mr. Rankin now. What qualifications do you have for office?
That's a great question. I've been on Senate since the beginning of last year. I'm currently the president of system-wide student government. I've been the president for the past year. You say I've been on Senate for about a year, but that actually makes me one of the ranking officials on Senate. There has been a high turnover rate in the past. But I think one of the great things about being on Senate, being exposed to it, is the leadership skills that you build by interacting and working with people great people like Dean Dana, from Dean Dana and Gustavo. I mean, these are great people that we work with every day, that, we build great relations, and it allows us to proceed in bettering the university.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. I was just asked to let both candidates know if they would be so kind as to talk closer to the mic so everyone can hear you. And then Mr. Pomelo, the same question.
Well, qualifications for the office. I currently hold the office. I've held it for 5 months. Before that, I was the vice president. I was a senator for a year and a half. But also, one of the most important parts of this job is the relationships that you build with the people who actually can affect the change. And I'm proud to say that I have very solid mutual trust with several administrators, including the gentleman here tonight, Dr. Dana, Gustavo, the president, even the chancellor. Very, very important that you establish that mutual trust so you actually can affect good change. And as such, we've done many great initiatives, and I have many great colleagues in the student government, some of the greatest workers I have ever seen, very efficient, all around. Those are my qualifications for office.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin doesn't have a rebuttal. Moving on to a question for Mr. Pomelo next. Since taking over for Priyanth Chandra Sekar, have you continued to work on the issues he started on, and if so, what were they?
Oh, absolutely. One of the biggest things, it was for both of us, was dining services. There was a big concern over the high cost of dining and food. We sat down with the dining administrators. We had them open the books collaboratively in a professional relationship. And we went through and we combed through, and they showed us beyond a reasonable doubt at all that it was not a price gouging. That the meals that were being charged were a result of rising increase in costs and the fact that we're unique. We have 10,000 students to feed. It's not like Shop and Save where they buy food for millions of people for a bunch of different states. So it's a sad reality, but that's one of the things. Assuring meal plans. A lot of options for meal plans. If you go to the marketplace now, you have various options, almost unlimited options for meal plans. That was started because of Priyanth and I. The only thing that he had that I have not yet got a chance to address is campus lighting. And unfortunately, the burden of carrying on a previous president's platforms is that I also have to make sure that the organization runs today, as well as address the issues that were promised by Prionth. But I think we've done a pretty good job, and I also see that the campus lighting is going to be done before I leave office.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, you have 6 seconds to respond to the same question.
Sure. You know, Prionth was a very motivated individual, but one of the things that he addressed within dining was a program in which you could go in there and instead of getting a meal exchange, you'd have a dollar amount that would equate to what you could get. And that's something that Bill has not picked up this year that I really wish he would have, because I thought it was a great program, and if elected the president, it's a program that I would continue to try to push through. Because what it would equate to is you get a dollar figure, say between $7 and $10 was the numbers we were hacking out back then, that would equate to a meal. And what you could do is you could go in there and buy 3 slices of pizza if you want for your meal. And if you went over the $7, then it would come directly out of your dining funds. Now, that was the major thing that I think Prionth was working on, and he spent a lot of time and a lot of effort. And I think it'd be really worthwhile to re-exploring that. And I think it's a great option and opportunity that the students should have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pomelo, if you'd like a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, sure. I did not let that drop. I actually did address that because I as well thought it was a great idea. I sat down with the dining executives. They actually look into it. They called several other universities that have similar programs. The fact is, it's just not feasible. It creates a lot of red tape, it creates a lot of hassle for everyone, and it's shown to be a failure at almost every single university that it's done, which is why they've done such an elaborate meal choice for the marketplace and the commons, because that's the most feasible as it is. And I think Prionth will be satisfied with the options that students have today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo and Mr. Rankin. Moving on to a question for Mr. Rankin first. Yesterday, a former UMaine state student government colleague, Jason Gain, wrote on your campaign wall that you became president of UMaine's state student government and did nothing. How would you like to respond to this attack?
That's Jason Gagne.
Gagne, my apologies.
Jason Gagne was the current treasurer of system-wide student government when I took over. Jason Gagne resigned from his position a week and a half later. He said due to commitment and travel costs from Fort Kent down, he could no longer participate. So I was told about that comment, but I haven't talked to Jason about it. I don't know where he's coming from on it, but Jason has not been a member of system-wide student government for over a year now, and so I really don't know where he's coming from, if that was actually stated.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, you have 60 seconds to address the question as you choose.
Interesting that name comes up. I actually went to high school with him, and it actually is Jason Gain. But he was actually, I served with him. I sat on the system-wide student government with Derek Mitchell and Stephen Moran. The organization really floundered. It was hard to get people from all parts of the state to meet. You know, we're poor students. We can't take the time to always travel across the state. And the organization was very immobile. And I haven't been in the organization since President Rankin has been in the position. But I mean, those types of attacks, they come and go. But other than that, I really don't know what to say because I didn't really see what happened with that.
Okay. Thank you both very much. Moving on to a question for Mr. Pomelo first. How do you perform under pressure?
I thrive with pressure. I played sports all throughout high school. I've found a great love of studying politics and history, and they're all they're tasks that require a lot of pressure. And it is very pressureful. When there's a serious issue that needs to be addressed, sometimes it's hard to sit down face-to-face with the president of the university of 10,000 people or the chancellor of the university system for the entire state and tell them what you want and why you think it's a good idea. I have done that, and I would like to continue to do that. And pressure doesn't faze me whatsoever. I welcome pressure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, same question. How do you work under pressure?
Yeah. I think I work rather well under pressure. I enjoy working under pressure, and I think procrastinating on some of my work is more of a thrill to do it under pressure. I mean, there's nothing more fun than having a lot to accomplish, but then accomplishing it. And that's kind of like how student government is. You walk into a situation and you have this huge daunting task, and there's nothing more thrilling than achieving that task than the pressure that motivates you to achieve that task. And so I think that with system-wide student government, which is a great example, since I took position in system-wide student government, I passed a new constitution. I instated bylaws, and I have instated officers of higher ranking levels from across the university. And we're currently working on a new program that will unite it and fund it for the first time ever. So.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pommel, if you would like 30
Sure.
seconds.
I would also like to point out, as I said, I was in system-wide student government. That constitution and those bylaws were actually written by me with Brad Davey from the University of Maine at Farmington. The original constitution was pretty flimsy. It left a lot of power in the hands of the president, and there was really no bylaws whatever, but we whipped that into shape, and I'm glad to see that President Rankin has instituted them.
Thank you both very much. A question for Mr. Rankin first. Why do you feel you are better qualified than your opponent to hold the position of student government president?
Well, personally, that's a tough question, but from where I sit right now, I'm a year younger than Bill. I still have 2 years left for this university, and I still have a lot more to lose or gain from what student government does for me in my term here. And so I'm in a position of more leverage to have more things done in my term left here. And so I think that is a key reason why I'm better suited for the position of president of the student body than my opponent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, same question.
Yes, as I said before, I've been in the organization for 3 years, been a student for about 3.5 years, and I have a deep love for everything about this university, completely. Relationships with administrators, as I said, very important. Experience, knowing how the organization runs, the executive position. It's a burden to be the president, but it's an important burden, and you need to want to have it, and I do want to have it. And it's very important to have the experience. It's a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation. The president of student government is the chief executive officer. I am legally liable if anything happens. So it's an organization that cannot really be taken lightly. But I am student-friendly. I'm Greek. I enjoy talking to students, hearing students' concerns. I think overall, the experience and the relationships that I've found in the last 3 years really make me a better candidate.
Thank you very much. A question for Mr. Pomelo first on this time. What do you feel is the most important issue on the UMaine campus to be resolved right now?
Well, from a student government perspective, I would say, for our organization, it is the relationship between student government and its students. There are a lot of students who know what we do, they identify with us, and they understand why we do what we do, and there are a lot of students who don't. And that, to me, is a problem. It's a problem I've tried to address since I was the vice president. I've tried to market student government better. If you go into dormitories, the bathrooms on campus, you will see ads about student government, what we're doing. Get involved in the Senate, contact William Pomerleau. It's the direct relationships with students that are very important. And to this day, I'm still trying to work on getting a student government icon at everyone's desktop so that everybody can see what we're doing, what we're standing for, what I feel, what the vice president feels, what concerts are coming, without having to wait for 3 days for the main campus to come out or a new poster to be put on a bulletin board. A direct relationship. And I think that for me, or for our organization, is our most important issue, because without students, we are not legitimate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, same question. What do you feel is the most important issue?
I think building a key relationship with the student body is, of course, key for the organization. But the main issue, I think, that students have right now is rising costs of their education. Currently, I'm working with several Maine state legislators to form a new resolution, one that has been going back and forth in the House for quite some time now, and that's to eliminate the tax on all textbooks and related items that students buy when they come to campus. Now, this is actually a feasible thing that could actually pass in the next several years. And with student support, such as the University of Maine, here at Orono, and other universities across the state at which I'm connected with through system-wide student government, this can become a reality. And I think addressing big issues like that is what student government has to do, and then we can build the connections with the students because they'll see how we are helping them, and that will unite us at the end.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Moving on to the next question, to you first. What do you feel your relationship with UMaine administrators is stronger than your opponents? Or how do you feel that way?
That's a tough question because I don't know exactly what Bill's relationship is. I know I like Dean Dana a lot. I see him in the hallways. I say hi. I talk to him. He's just a great guy. Gustavo, he's a great guy. I actually met with Dean Laredo today, and they're all great people, and they're easy to get along with, and are easy to build fantastic relationships with. I've been in this organization long enough now where I've had a lot of exposure to these guys, and they're great people, and I look forward to working with them any chance I can. And those relationships, they are key. and they are important. And I'm glad that I have got the experience and the time underneath my belt now, so I have built those relationships, and I can use those to benefit the student body.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, the same question to you.
I'm happy to say that I do have a very strong relationship and have had a very strong professional relationship for about a year with most every administrator that you need to have to be president. They are not unreasonable people. A lot of people feel, oh, no one listens to student government. You know, they're insignificant and illegitimate. That's not true. If there's a student issue and student government raises it to them, they do listen. They offer a helping hand if you give them a cogent and feasible solution. If you give them an unreasonable solution, that's not going to work, and they won't be able to help you. There are certain things that just are, and you need to come up with real solutions for real problems. And up to the chancellor, to the president, to the provost, to the dean of students, to the director, interim director of campus activities, down to deans of colleges, I have established great relationships with all of them that have really aided me in my position. And that's the most important part of this job, is getting those relationships. That's how you change things on this campus.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Your question first, Mr. Pomelo. All students complain about textbook costs. Do you feel there's a solution to the textbook prices, and if so, what is it?
Yeah, well, first of all, textbooks everywhere are ridiculously expensive. It's the nature of the industry. I have worked at the bookstore. I worked at the bookstore for 2.5 years, and I do go back on breaks to work. I built a great relationship with Bill Hawkinsmith, the director of the bookstore. I have now been working with Bill Hawkinsmith for the greater part of my college career on tax-free textbooks, as Senator Rankin was talking about. Because it's a great idea. Many states have implemented it, but the state legislature is hard because that means they're going to lose less money in a state where we already don't have enough money. And I think overall, I mean, it's something that does need to be addressed, but we need to stop having professors bundle textbooks. We need to stop having them getting their orders late on time. I did a study. If professors got all their orders in on time by the deadline the bookstore set, students could save $60,000. It's just a big chunk of change. And to ensure buyback. I've had a great, strong relationship with Bill Hawkinsmith, and with continuing that, I'm sure that we'll keep costs low to students, and as he has been. As they are, they're 40% higher in providing used books to students at the University of Maine. The national average is 17%. They do 55% used book sales at our bookstore, and that's a great savings to our students.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, same question.
Yeah. Bill has done great things with the bookstore in providing the lowest cost he possibly can for the UMaine students. If you look at the national average, our book costs really are relatively low compared to what other students are paying across the country. But what I have been working on, and you know, this is a state where we are strapped for money, but we have a legislator who is motivated to see the University of Maine students across the system thrive and succeed, because they understand that they are the future of this state and that they are who will provide the funding so this state survives in the future. So they are motivated to help us any way that they can. And tax-free textbooks is something that they are seriously considering. And I have been down there and talked to these guys, and all they really want is a strong student presence. They want us to go down there and help and to lobby and to assist them. And I see tax-free textbooks in the near future being a serious, serious thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Our next question does go to you first. How do you intend to ease the burden of inconvenient parking at the University of Maine?
You know, parking is something I've been involved in since I've been on Senate. And I think the greatest thing that we can say that we've done so far is bring Zipcar to the campus. I mean, parking is not the easiest fix. I mean, right now, if you look at it, it's more of an inconvenience of where you're parking. I mean, because you can usually find a spot, but it's where you find the spot. And so it's really about getting people together to discuss how we can better form parking places on campus to make it more convenient for everybody. And it's about being efficient with the parking spaces that we currently have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, 60 seconds to you for your question.
Gotta be careful how we talk about parking, as Chief March is here. He's gonna put the beat down. So anyway, parking, yes. Parking is a problem everywhere. It is not exclusive to the University of Maine. And in fact, if you talk to almost anybody from any other college campus, parking is worse at most other college campuses. I do know that they try really hard to provide parking, but you have 10,000 students jamming into a small town on a campus, and it's not good. So Zipcar has eased the burden, and I'm happy to say that my administration brought that. Me and Derek Mitchell collaborated and made sure that that program was here. It's just in a pilot right now. It's only been here for a month, but it will grow and it will get better, and it will meet the high expectations that we have for it. Another thing I'd like to address is what I consider to be an issue of absurdity almost, in that professors, faculty, so far as I know, have the ability to park in various colored parking spaces. Students do not have that ability. If you live on campus, you have to have and park only in the red zones. If you're a commuter, you park only in the black zones, and there's no overlap, but faculty members and whatnot are allowed to. I don't find that really to be fair. Faculty members need to go to work, but we also need to go to class.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The first question will be to you of this next one. What has been your greatest challenge as student government president, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest challenge, I would say, is the frustration that builds up when you have to deal with a lot of meaningless bureaucracy. I'm a person who likes to get things done. I say I find a solution, I want to see it implemented as fast as possible. Get things done, progress. With certain things, that's not the case. There's a bureaucracy you have to go through. You have to, play the game, make certain people happy, make sure you don't upset certain other people. And there's a chain of command that you have to go through, and that can really be burdensome. Again, as I said, I like to get things done now. And it can be very frustrating as an executive to be in that situation where you know you can do something, you know it can be implemented, but you have to wait. I would say that has been my biggest challenge thus far.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, what's been your greatest challenge in your student government career thus far?
I think the biggest challenge thus far, or frustration, I think has been not being able to help as many students as we would like. I mean, we have a limited amount of funding throughout the course of the year, and we can only give students so much. Students come to us every week asking for money, and we can only give them a certain percentage of how much they ask for. And gosh, I really wish that we could give them more and we could help more students, but we have to pick and choose. It's the nature of the business. We don't have enough money to help everybody. And I think that has really been the biggest frustration so far in my student government career.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Next question goes first to you again. What is your greatest weakness?
My greatest weakness?
Your greatest weakness.
I think my greatest weakness is I'm not one to be I'm not one to want to sit down and really wait. I have a problem with that. And so I really like to see things done. I like to see them done effectively and efficiently. And I think because of that, I've had to really train myself to become a better listener and a better a person who pays more attention to everything and all the concerns, because I'm a lot like Bill. We like to see things done, and we like to make sure that they're done. But there is a lot of red tape, and there's a lot of bureaucracy that really frustrates a person who wants to get out there and get it done. And I think being frustrated by that has helped me become a better leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, what is your greatest weakness?
For me, I would have Steve Moran is my biggest weakness. No, I'm kidding. My biggest weakness, I would say, for me, is the balancing act that the president has to do between doing the duties, because this is a job where you don't just do what you have to do and then you just, whatever. You need to go above and beyond. You need to take proactive action. The balancing act between doing that and making sure that my studies don't falter. And that is the biggest challenge, because you're everywhere. You're always at meetings. You're always talking to people. You got to have some semblance of a social life. But at the same time, you got to make sure you stay in school. You got to make sure you keep good grades. And that to me has been a struggle, but not a struggle that I can't overcome. And that has probably been my biggest weakness.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. To you again, Mr. Pomelo, who is your idol and why?
My idol is the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. Not for many reasons that most Americans say. He was idolized by his death and everything. He was a man that endured a lot. He was a man that was president at the height of the Cold War, the most intense time to be president, and he dealt with a lot of great personal tribulation, the kind of which that you or I, most of us, would never even experience in a lifetime. And that's the easiest way I can sum it up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, who is your idol and why?
You know, for a long time now, ever since I was little and can remember and first learned about him, I think my idol has been Martin Luther King. I mean, he was a man that stood in the face of, you know, the hugest opposition a person could imagine, and he fought it head on. He defines what leadership is and what it is to look an obstacle in the face and overcome it. And I think his life provides lessons for any leader striving to overcome huge obstacles since then and forever on.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Next question will go to you first. What do you feel is your opponent's greatest strength?
Well, Bill has more hair than I do right now, so I'm kind of envious of that. I think Bill's greatest strength is his personality. He's an easy enough guy to get along with, and it's always been a pleasure working with him and around him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, what is your opponent's greatest strength?
He has, from everyone I've met, he is easily in the top 5 people of the most passionate people I've ever seen in student government. He wants to get something done. He is very passionate and very adamant to get it done. Even if he faces a lot of opposition, he is great in standing to his convictions, holds his ground, and remains passionate about what he believes in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The next question will go to you first. What are you going to do to make UMaine a better place?
Well, I'd like to continue what we've been doing, which is with the help of Steve and Derek Mitchell, bring great concerts. Next semester is going to be tremendous. I have plans to bring back Bumstock, the tradition that we had to cancel out because of fiscal issues. It was getting too expensive, and we found a way to cut costs tremendously and bring it back next semester. The money that was originally spent for My Chemical Romance, that we thankfully got back without a hassle, is going to be going next semester to another concert. But again, those concerts, they can't even be announced because of legal contracts. So we're going to announce them as early as possible. Derek's handling all of that. He's the most amazing worker I have ever had to work with. There's no one on this campus more qualified to bring concerts and student entertainment than Derek Mitchell, and I'm proud to say that I brought him back to student government after he left, after he lost the presidential race last fall, and I won the vice presidency. He is the most amazing worker, the most amazing person and valuable resource that student government can have outside of the presidency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, what are you going to do to make UMaine a better place?
First, I'd like to go back to dining and the idea that Preonth had. Now, I looked at all the same paperwork that Bill did and Preonth did, and there were surveys that suggested that it was not as successful on some universities, but yet there was other surveys that suggested that it was successful at those universities. And so what it boiled down to was UMaine is its own university. And what makes it successful is the commitment that the students put into it from student government and the commitment that administration would put into it. Now this is a program that I looked very, very intensely into, and it's a program that really could work, and it really could benefit the student body. I think a lot of people would be more happy about that. Another thing that I was looking into and have been looking into is the other night I was watching TV, and they were reporting from Fallujah, and the lights, the street lights, illuminating all the streets were being powered by solar energy lights. And lighting is an issue that's on campus now, and the cost of lighting is also an issue. The costs are rising constantly. And solar energy lights are a very feasible solution for the future that will benefit both the university and the students in the long run.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, do you have a response?
Quickly, yeah, this was something addressed under Preonth. Eben Strout and Abtin Medazadigan combed the campus about lighting, because Preonth had that on his agenda, and I thought it was a great idea. There's a map currently of where new lights should be established, where there's not enough lights, as well as lampposts where lights have burned out. We brought it up to President Kennedy during a monthly meeting. He was very open to it, and I look forward to actually implementing that before I actually leave office. And I'm going to be mentioning it at my last meeting with President Kennedy in December. Hopefully not my last.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The next question goes to you first, Mr. Rankin. What defines you as a person and as a leader?
I think what defines me as a person and a leader is my passion. There's no obstacle that I think is too big that students, or anybody for that matter, can't tackle. I think the greatest thing that we have going for us as people is our ability to overcome any obstacle. And I think we've proven that throughout time. And that's what I like. That's what excites me to be involved in student government, is to have these big issues to be able to face head on and tackle and improve and to help the people around us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, same question.
I would say, well, first of all, compassion for understanding what it is to be a student, to understand the strifes of students, and that's done by going out and talking to students and hearing what they feel, what their problems are. Confidence in my ability to see that there is good change and change that's in the students' interests and what the students want. And I would say also understanding to others' ideas. Even if I think they're completely ludicrous, everyone has a right to their opinion. And we pick, out of all the options, we pick what we think is the best plan and go with it. And I am open to anybody at any time, open door policy, and to any suggestion whatsoever.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The next question will be to you first. Why should students vote for you instead of your opponent?
Seems like a rehashing of a previous question. Again, experience. The people that I work with and who work with me in an amazing capacity. The relationships that I built. I've always said that one of the problems with the change in leadership is that usually most of the people who are elected to president and vice president are people who weren't executives before or who didn't really learn what the executive positions are all about. When you first get in, you need to build relationships. You need to build relationships with the president, with the dean of students, with everyone. And that takes at least a month, month and a half. You need to work up a mutual trust. You know, when I go to Dean Dana or the president and I tell them that I have a problem, they need to believe me. They need to know that I'm just not tooting my horn, that I'm really legitimately concerned about something. And that is a relationship that has to be worked up over a couple months, and they get to know you. And that's the burden of being someone who's new. My relationships are already set there, and will be ready to fly if I'm reelected.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin.
Yeah. Me as well. I have worked, currently I am the president of system-wide student government. I've built relationships with the current chancellor, and I still have great relationships with Dean Dana and, of course, Gustavo, and I've talked to President Kennedy on several occasions. Obviously, I've not got the in-depth relationship building that you would have in the executive level. However, it's not about the amount of time, because you're meeting with these guys a couple times a month. It's about what you can do in those meetings to make them believe that you have a problem or that this university has a problem. It's about the way you interact with them to make them understand that this university needs help or needs a change. And I feel that I am that dynamic leader that can talk to them and make them understand, even without the experience, that I mean business and this university means business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. The next question will go to you first. What have you learned from your on-job mistakes?
I think every day that I've served as a senator, and we all make decisions, we all have to vote, and I think that you learn from day to day. One allocation, you think back on, was that an appropriate allocation? Another allocation, you think back on, maybe I should have taken a different approach to it. And I think it's the combination of the experience of being involved in something like student government that really builds your character and builds your ability to become a better leader within the body.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, what have you learned from your on-job mistakes?
Early on, you make a lot of mistakes. A lot of people jump in, they're going to fix everything. Every problem that you have at all is going to be fixed by me. Leadership is not about passing a resolution, shaking hands, kissing babies, and making large false promises. It's about making real solutions to real problems. Understand why certain things can't just be. So you try to chip away at the big problems with littler solutions that do work and are feasible, and they actually do help. And by taking stands, my mistakes have taught me that you need to take a stand and be firm in that and back up what you say, and being respectful and diplomatic at the same time. There's an old saying that says if you're not pissing anybody off, you're not doing your job. And it's important to remember that, because I am not afraid. If I think that something needs to happen in the face of adversity, I will say anyway, this needs to happen and we need to find a way. And usually administrators, if you're that firm, they extend a helping hand. They never try to just cut you off and say, no, sorry, you're not important. They're always open to hearing a new solution or a new solution to a problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The next question will go to you first. This is more of a lighthearted question, but if you could be an animal, any animal, what would you be and why?
What a question. A lion. Quiet until agitated. And it's a symbol of my fraternity. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin.
I think I'd be an elephant, because I think we've all seen the size of their trunks. So that's the best I got.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rankin. I think it's about time to open it up to questions that we had from the audience. So the first question would be addressed to you, Mr. Rankin. Are the responsibilities of UMaine Student Government President the same as U.S. President? And is it necessary for a Student Government President to have veto power over a Student Senate with equal legislative experience and wisdom?
So that's a two-part question. Yes. So the first part, I think it's hard to compare directly the President of the United States and the President of Student Government. I mean, what we need to focus on is what the President of Student Government is. What the President of student body and student government is to help the students here, to focus on our issues and our concerns and really figure out what we can do to help the students and the people around us. Now, as far as the veto power over Senate, I was in support of the presidential veto, and I think that it maintains still a series of checks and balances, and the veto can always still be overturned by the main body of the Senate. And so, yes, I think that the veto is okay, and I think that the student body president just needs to focus on the issues really pressing the students currently.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo.
Is it like the U.S. presidency? No, not at all. Not by a long shot. Is it important to have this veto power? Yes. Senate is a body that I have not yet seen a Senate election for. Usually they are people that get 25 signatures and they get appointed. I, the president, and the vice president are popularly elected. And we make a platform. Prior to having veto power, we had very little, outside of just influence, little power to influence policy in student government. The veto power ensures that my platform, what I promised to the students, what I would like to do for the students, that they elected me for, that if the Senate goes against that, I have the power to say I don't like that because I don't think it's in the interest of students. And if it is so popular that students actually do like it, or more students like it than I know or I think, the Senate has the ability to overturn it. It's a basic political concept that I think is very important to the organization. Policy should not be in place unless a lot of people want it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The next question will go to you first. Where do you see student government in 5 years?
Well, hopefully with a bigger operating budget so we can bring more amazing concerts. That would be good. We are restricted in that. I would like to see the organization continue something that's unique to this semester as opposed to a lot of previous ones, and that is collaboration. There's been a lot of personal politics in the past, people hating each other, bickering amongst senators towards the president and the vice president about little issues, personal problems. That's gone away this semester, and that's so important. It really is. It's so important that people collaborate and unify. It means that problems actually can be solved because there's a whole team of people going after it instead of just one or two. Or when there's an issue, instead of everything being critical of it, everyone is behind it. And that is something that in 5 years I hope is still here. And I'm still seeing it being a great organization. And hopefully at that time, students are more into it and they're more connected with it because I plan to market it more. And hopefully student government presidents after me continue that and open up a direct relationship with students.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, where do you see student government in 5 years?
Yeah, in 5 years, I see student government being stronger and a better body than it probably ever has in its history. When I go to meetings now, I see young senators, junior senators, with the motivation and the passion that I haven't seen in some of the veteran senators that were there when I first came to Senate. And here we have a group of dynamic individuals who are really committed to helping the school and the university and the student body, who are really here for the long haul and really have promising aspects for the future of the body and what they can do for the entire student body when they work together is really amazing to think about. And so 5 years from now, I think I could look back and see Senate or look at Senate and see it being something absolutely amazing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. The first question will go to you next. How do you plan to remedy the campus parking situation without further compromising the environmental health of the UMaine community?
Well, that's a tough question because I think we've already talked about this tonight. I mean, there's no simple, quick fix to parking. There isn't a college campus in a state university or in a university for matter that does not have parking issues. Addressing the issue in an environmentally and friendly way would be something that I would like to pull together a huge forum. And I really think that the solution to parking is not just going to come from a few senators who have big ideas, but it's going to come from a lot of people with big ideas who are going to get together and really hack out this problem and talk it over and really find the best solution that satisfies the vast majority of the student population.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, the same question.
Again, when you take a town where half the population is students, and when school gets back in session, 10,000 people rush into town and jam onto a little campus, it's going to create problems. Zipcar was a plan to help ease that burden. Again, I said it's a pilot program. It's very young. After full marketing is done and it's fully implemented, I think you will see less cars being brought to campus, less cars on the road, because people will be using Zipcars, and it's a great, great program. And other than that, ensuring that students do have the availability, as I talked about, the crossover with faculty members and whatnot, being able to park pretty much wherever. They need to be able to have a parking space. Students also need to be able to have a parking space because the University of Maine is here and put here for the education of the students. And as I said, faculty need to park too, but so do the students. And I really don't want to drive around for an hour and then walk an hour to get to my class.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The next question will go to you first. How well do you think you can work with the current Vice President of Student Government?
Not at all, for crying out loud. Now, Steve Moran is a guy that I met my freshman year. And I'm happy to say that in that time I have grown a great friendship with him. I'm proud to say that I appointed him to the vice presidency after I assumed the presidency, not just because he's my friend, not at all. Because of everyone on this campus that I've met and known, there's no one more qualified, more affable, more professional, and just an overall great guy to be vice president than Steve Moran.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, same question.
Everything that Bill just said about Steve is absolutely spot on. Steve really just is a great guy. And there isn't a person on campus who wouldn't be happy or privileged to work alongside of him. And if elected student body president, it'd literally be a privilege and a dang good time to spend time with him and to work with him and to see that this campus really does become a better place.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. The next question will go to you first. Considering that there are many off-campus students, how do you plan on enhancing dining opportunities for them?
That's a great question. Currently, I'm an off-campus student, and I find it more financially economical, of course, to eat off-campus because on campus, it's just, it doesn't equate. I don't know if there's any quick fix to that. I think that it's something that's worthwhile to look into, maybe a specialized meal plan for the commuter student, but there's no current plan right now that's really the most feasible or economic for a commuter student. And I think that's definitely something that if there's a lot of need for or a lot of motivation towards, to definitely look into and possibly come up with a solution for that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo, same question.
Yeah, there are things out there now for students who live off campus who don't choose to eat here or whatnot. And that is with the use of the Maine card, college identification, get 10% off at different fast food restaurants in the area. And I also believe, I'm not positive on this, but I believe it, Black Bear One is also utilized at IGA in Old Town. So if you have Black Bear bucks, you can go to Old Town and buy food. And that's great because, again, college students don't have a lot of money, and for a lot of us who are poor, like me, we rely on federal financial aid, and that is a great resource to go buy food and whatnot, or if you live on campus, to get a meal plan, or you can even put money onto your car without even being on campus. And overall, I mean, there are options, but it's getting hairy because you're talking about interfering with now businesses that aren't a part of the University of Maine, but we do have certain things there currently.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. The next question will be addressed to you first. Other than being the current student body president, what other positions have you held, and how has that helped you?
I was a vice president for a semester. I was a senator for a year and a half. I was the president pro tem of the Senate, which meant I ran meetings in the absence of the vice president. I was recently elected the secretary of the Maine Association of Parliamentarians. For some reason, can't really explain it, I found a love for parliamentary procedure, and I studied it. I took a test to get into the organization, and I'm also, leadership development and whatnot also comes very strongly through the education you get through a fraternity. And it's an invaluable resource through my fraternity that I have learned how to be a better person, how to be a better leader, and how to work with people when you don't get along with them. Or get along with them, but make sure that if you have a disagreement, that in the end, we all want the same thing. And that is one of the most valuable leadership skills you can have.
Thank you, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, I suppose we can address this to your statewide student government position.
So other positions besides my statewide?
Sure.
I've been a senator for a year. I've served on different committees here at the university via programming fund or student activist groups. Back home, I'm a chair of my local Lions chapter for their current service that they interact throughout my town and surrounding towns. Those are really the core ones that I've focused on since I've been here in school.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. The next question will be addressed to you first, and it will be our last question from the audience before we do closing statements. Do you have any suggestions for reforming the UMaine student government voting system to make student government offices more accessible to people outside of student government?
That's an interesting question, because obviously I'm in student government and so isn't Bill. And so, it seems so apparent to me at least, because it's thrown in my face every day. I'm not sure what the need is or what the perception is of the students, outside of student government. I like to think that we do everything that we can to provide as much information as we can so that everybody is aware that they can, what they have to do to become, a senator, to become president. And, I like to think that we're doing everything that we can right now. There's definitely other ways that we can be more promoting or more promotive of student government, but right now I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. Mr. Pomelo?
I would agree with that. There are flaws in our election system right now. It's very difficult to ensure fairness and equality in every election, because it's very vital that there is that equality. And it's a system, student government's a rolling body. People are in and out all the time. So all of a sudden we have new people. We got to explain them all over again, like, this is how the elections go. These are the problems with it. The problem with the offices, it's through a gift from the university that we're allowed to remain in the offices that we are, and they are good offices. They take care of all that we need. It takes care of all the divisions of student government. And I really don't see where else we could move on campus that would actually be feasible, that would work. A more central location would be ideal, but where that could be is beyond me. But the first-class voting system is pretty much as efficient as it gets, and it's just a matter of marketing and promoting elections and when they happen to raise the voter turnout.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. We'll now have 60 seconds closing statements, beginning with yourself, and then ending with Mr. Rankin.
Well, thanks again to Derek, to Abtin, to Mr. Bourgeois-Capozzi, the speech and debate team, and to my opponent here, Sean Rankin. Sorry, I almost called you my running mate. Anyway, my campaign is not about promising to fix the world. Not at all. It's about finding real solutions to real problems, as I said. Living in the now, living in realistic times instead of just living in idealism. Which idealism is good, but only if you live in reality while you're being idealistic. It's been my honor to be president, to see things implemented, and I would like to see them implemented again in the future. With your help and with the understanding that we are all in the same boat, we all have the same problems, and I am just as aggravated as you are about them. I'm really confident that we can see this university just get better and better as we go through time. So on December 3rd, please elect Steve Moran, even though he's already elected, and me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pomelo. Mr. Rankin, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement as well.
Yeah. It's really been great here tonight. It's been a great turnout. And I'm really glad that we got a chance to talk about our issues for our platforms and whatnot, because the great thing about my platform is that it is real and it is feasible. I have developed feasible solutions to real problems that are on this campus, and with hard work and commitment from myself and a committed student senate and a student body who wants to see the change, these things can be done. And I'm not reaching out at all. In fact, I think that these are the things that this university is thirsting for. They're thirsting for somebody to step up and go after the big things, the big changes that have the huge impacts, and really unite behind Senate. And I think that's what Senate needs. I think that's what this university needs. I'd really like to thank everybody who came out here tonight. It really has been great. And as well, on Monday, on December 3rd, I would appreciate your support and your vote. And again, thank you, and travel safe home tonight.
Thank you all for coming out to the UMaine Student Government Presidential Debate. Let's give these two candidates one last round of applause for being here tonight. Thank you, guys.